Hello and welcome to the sports show with Bob Spino, where the NBA and NHL playoffs are coming to a close soon enough with only a few sets to go. And we have baseball well underway. Now, Bob, you seem to nailed it on the head with your hockey predictions. You were up on Montreal, and you did believe Tampa would take the series.
I did. It must have. I mean, that was a great series. The Islanders played their hearts out. They did everything you could do and still didn't win. Tampa's just good. I mean, they were defending champs, and I didn't think the Vegas was going to get there. Your friend, Mr. E, the little professor, he said the same thing I did. He actually said the Canadians are six. I was watching it again, our last show, and I totally agree because if with that, since you're the road team, you have to win as quick as you can. You've got to win in six. You don't want it to go seven. And they did. And I just had a feeling about Brodeur. They're actually losing tonight 2-0 in the second period. I just checked it. But, it doesn't surprise me. Tampa's a really great team. So, I got it right. And, I mean, I know you really wanted the Islanders. And it would have been a heck of a series with the Islanders and Montreal because both teams are pretty equal,
I think it would have been a much more preferable matchup, too, for eyeballs. But Tampa is the best team, and they earned it, and they won it. The only thing I really got right about that matchup in predicting was the fact that I said the Islanders needed to defend home ice. They couldn't afford to lose a home game, and they did. They lost that game 3, and then you saw the series get wrapped up in Tampa, and that was big.
Well, you know what? You won the first night, right, in Tampa?
Yep, won the first night, lost the next 2.
Right. And you know what? I assumed you'd lose the next game because that was in Tampa also. But from Tampa's perspective, they had to get that home ice back. And the best way to do it is the very next game, the first game they played on the road. And they did it. That's what they had to do. Once they did that, they knew. I know, like, even when the Islanders won the game 6, I knew right then. I just looked at a bunch of Islander fans. Didn't say nothing to them. But I'm just like, it doesn't matter how happy you are. Game 7 because Tampa's going to win it. And they actually went 12 straight goals, and you didn't score. They actually outscored you in a couple of games, 12-0, because you were up 3-0 in the game you won, and then they beat you 8-0. But they scored the last 2 goals. You won 3-2 of that one game, and then they scored 8 more. So and then 2 more after that.
Of the game after. It's 2-0 Lightning in game 6.
Right. And then so that was 12 straight unanswered goals by them. And it still had to go to a 7th game. So, you guys played your hearts out. You guys really impressed me. I mean, you did. I know your buddy Kip is pretty upset, I'm sure, but
it's reeling pretty good. Mr. E actually had a couple extra tickets he asked if he wanted to go, but we weren't going to go see anyone play Lightning except the Islanders. So whoever got those tickets from Mr. E, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. That was the game 6 or 7 you were going to go? 6?
No, Mr. E acquired a pair or 2 pairs of extra tickets to, I believe, 2 of the games in Tampa that are scheduled. I think a game 4, maybe a game 2. And he asked if we wanted to go, but we weren't going to go to see the finals without the Islanders there.
Wow. He really is a little professor and a wizard. He got those tickets.
He is a wizard, and you could say what you want about the moves the Lightning have made and great decision making and draft prospects and moves like that, but all credit goes to Mr. E. The fact that he moved to Tampa Bay is the reason this is all happening. I blame him for everything.
Yes. You know what? He did say he wanted to come on in this series. We should get him on one more time.
Yeah, we should. Let's get him on before the series ends with Montreal.
Yeah, right. We were going to have Johnny McLaughlin come on, but I got to him kind of late, and he didn't get back. And he's an ex-basketball player for the Milwaukee Bucks as well, and he won the championship in '71. But he is going to come on. He said he wants to come on, preferably do it later at night. That's what he said. But and then I was thinking about Mr. E, and I was like, maybe we can get him on because I'm sure is he at the game tonight, Ron?
I don't think he made it to the first game. I'm pretty sure he has tickets for game 2.
Right. And you know what's funny? My friend Reese, who calls the show, he met a guy that does nothing but bet. And I knew this guy because one night I played trivia and I won and I gave him my winnings. And but he lives in Vegas and he gave up his big time job, told his boss to go die somewhere to become a full-time bettor. He lives in Vegas, the whole thing. And I told him to watch our show, so he's got the card. And I told him to watch Herb, the Herbmeister, but he actually like makes big time money. But the two of them were Vegas fans, and I'm sitting there watching the two of them in game one, and Vegas wins 4-1, and I'm sitting there going, Montreal's going to win this. Tomorrow night they're going to come out and take them apart, right? And then like they just looked at me. I go, because this kind of reminds me of what the Celtics and Lakers did in '84. The Lakers, it was a 1-1 series. Boston lost the home field to Magic and Kareem. And the first night they played Showtime with us. They blew us out by 33 and they were dancing and the girls were dancing. And Red Auerbach went into the clubhouse and said, he screamed at the team, don't you ever let that Rambus, that who thinks he's Clark Kent, Superman, never do that to you again. Next time he goes up, you knock him into tomorrow. Next night, they started doing the same thing. And MacLeod picked him up by the back of his shirt and threw him right in the stands. It changed the whole series. It was like, this is the way we play basketball. None of this fly boy stuff. And that's what it reminded me of the Canadians because everybody was dancing in Vegas and doing all this garbage. And I'm like, they're going to come out there and go, this is what we do in Montreal Alley. And that's exactly what they did the next game. Exactly what they did. And I knew.
I thought Vegas was going to win that series too. I didn't buy into Montreal, but you said they had that great goalie.
They have a great goalie.
And all the momentum was in their favor. They took it.
Well, so far, what I'm seeing, Tampa Bay's having their own way of it. But you wait. Montreal's going to change that because they're tough. I know Tampa likes their physical, and Montreal plays that way. But you can bet that Price is not going to let them get too many goals on him, especially at home. He's tough.
Speaking of the Herbmeister, Bob, there's the new college football lines are out. So stay tuned, folks. The Herbmeister is going to make another appearance to talk about the major college matchups coming up this year. He's got his picks ready to go.
Right. Oh, no, I'm sure he does. Just wait till the NFL season starts. That's going to be a while with him. But
we'll definitely get it. We'll definitely get at least a mid-season or quarter season through to see how the first couple games went, how his picks went, how everybody's picks
went. Right.
Make your predictions, folks. Show up in the live chat. Let us know who you think's going to win.
Tony's a Montreal fan, and my brother, and he when things were going so smooth for him, he's like, "Oh, great pick." I go, "I'm telling you, I know they're going to win." And then finally they won. He goes, "Ooh." I go, "You keep saying I get bad picks, but let's be real. Nobody's a worse picker than you are. Never has been on earth ever." So, like, you know what? I knew they were. And he goes, "Do you think they can beat Tampa Bay?" And I'm like, "Well, that I got to think about for a while, But it's going to be a fun series. I mean, the NHL finals are always fun, so the Cup's fun,
I agree with Mr. E in that regard. The Stanley Cup may be the most difficult championship to win. It's really hard to get through those series.
It seems to me Mr. E is more the brains and Kip is more the fan.
I think that's an accurate assessment, but Kip knows every angle of the game too.
Oh, no, I know, but it's all based around the Islanders, so that's his.
Yeah, he's a definitely Islander centric person, more so than Mr. E is a Lightning centric, I'd say. But both definitely have their understanding of the different franchises, the happenings going on to the rest of the league too. So anytime you want to talk about hockey, get Mr. E or Kip on it, and you'll get a nice slew of information that's going to be spot on pretty much every time.
Oh no, I know, and we were letting them go back and forth because they do know a lot, and they were just talking about certain players, and I knew that Tampa Bay's best player was going to play in Game 7, even though they said he wasn't going. I knew. There was no doubt in my mind. I'm like, yeah, that's a snow job. And he did. And I saw one Islander fan when I was out going, he's playing? He was like flipping out, But, no, I mean, how could you not know? I mean, the guy would have to pretty much be laid up where he couldn't move at all in order not to play. And this late in the year, yeah. And And how about the one of the players, one of the best players, Alec, I guess it was Martinez for the Knights. He was playing with a broken leg the whole time. Did you see that?
No, I wasn't aware of that. I didn't follow much the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, he was. You know what? It must have been a slight fracture where he could have, still played regardless. I'll tell you what, though. Remember how
Hockey players are extremely tough. They will, if they can move the body, they're going to play.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You know what, Rob? Remember you said the East is going to win no matter what.
That was definitely one of my predictions.
That's right. But you know what? It came true already, and I'll tell you why. You forget Montreal is an Eastern team. They only moved them out there.
True.
This
I
year.
don't. I'm not buying this whole mix-up they got going on. That's true. They're not really a Western team.
They're an Eastern
They're
team.
only officially a Western team this year. I assume they're going back to the East next year, or is this?
No, they're going back. I believe everything's going back. Okay. But they just didn't because everything was messed up, And but no, they're an Eastern team, and you know what? Even if they never go back, up until this point, they're still East. That's all they ever played until now. They played in the East. So I mean, Montreal is the East. I mean, and I thought about that after the last show. I'm like, wait a minute, Montreal. There's 3 Eastern teams left.
There's an asterisk to this prediction.
Yeah. Well, you were right though, because the East is going to win no matter how you slice it now.
Win it. East Coast, Tampa. I mean, yeah, they're basically, Gulf Coast, East Coast, but Montreal right there. So yeah, it's the Eastern Seaboard basically.
So,
how about those Bucks, Bob? We had all these guys, legends from the Milwaukee Bucks. Our last guest, Bob Dandridge. And here they are. They just, I believe, they took a 2-1 lead, or they tied the series with the Hawks.
It's 2-1 Bucks. They lost the first game to Atlanta, and you're thinking, is Atlanta really going to do this? Are they that good? But they're not deep enough. The kid is good, but they were even saying it the other day on TV. They were like, there are times you got to take him out of a game and sub him, and they didn't want to take him out because he's a star, and it cost them because he was getting tired, and they knew what he was going to do, and the Bucks had to win that third game. See, they did the same thing that Tampa Bay did. They split the first 2 games at home, but you got to get that thing back, because if you don't get it back, the longer it goes, the harder it is for you to win anything on the road. And they got it right back, and they took no prisoners last night. They clocked them. They're just a better team. Did we talk about the Nets at all in the Game 7? Have we been on? We haven't been on.
No, we haven't. We haven't been able to recap the Game 7 defeat of the Nets. I fully expected the Nets were going to win that game.
I thought, my brother and I were texting during the game. I was scared. I wanted the Bucks. So he just kept texting me, Bucks are going to win. Bucks are good. And when he texted me that, with the way he picks things, I'm like, oh, they're dead, But
his association with the Bucks gives him a little pass.
Yeah, I guess so. But the thing went nip and tuck the whole way. And it did look like the Bucks were going to lose because they couldn't get over the hump. They kept getting close and falling back. And I'm like, oh, man. And Durant he's amazing. Like, he's the best player in the league right now. There's no doubt. Sorry, LeBron. For somebody who was the best player ever, you're not even the best player in the league right now. How does that make you feel? Talk to Bugs Bunny about that one, huh? Okay, in your next movie. But, I don't know. Like, he just was amazing. And the end of that game, I knew when the Buck player missed the foul shot. I looked at the girl sitting next to me who wanted the Nets, and I go, they're going to win this thing. And they would have had he not had his foot on the tip of the line. He hit that shot.
That would have been the game winner.
That would have been the game. But even with that, like when they threw the inbounds pass to set that up, they threw it to Lopez in the corner at the end of the regulation before the overtime. And that was ridiculous because you don't throw somebody pinned in a corner. All you have to do is throw the ball in bounds and get a shot off. I mean, it was just, that was a terrible, they blamed Lopez, but they shouldn't have. It wasn't his fault. He was like crowded with people around him. And I think for Lopez took so much abuse with the Nets, and I saw him at the Metal. In fact, he played here originally in New Jersey, and he was the only player. And I kept telling my friend who loves the Nets, I go, you know what? I'd love to have him in Boston. He's a center. He's big. Back then he played down low. Now they're moving him out to hit threes. I go, he's a great player. We don't have that kind of a center. And he's like, oh, well, you don't play D. I go, wait a minute. He grabs 15 rebounds a game, 10 to 15. That's playing D. That's part of D. And how ironic, they never got him any players and all this and that, right? So what happens? He ends up making the biggest play of the game on Durant at the end of the overtime. He blocked that shot. He played D. And he came down and hit the big shot on the other side. He stuck it to the Nets, who stuck it to him because he gave his all to them for years. They repaid him by getting rid of him. He didn't want to leave. He didn't want to leave the Nets. And you know what? He came back to stick him. And then Sarah Kustoff or whatever said after the game, oh, where did that come from? Well, where the heck have you been, lady? Because the Nets, he was the best player on the Nets for like 10 years. Maybe you don't know as much as you should, or maybe you shouldn't be working for him.
They could have used Lopez in that game. They would have.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's going to win the title. That's the best part. Well, the thing about Phoenix, though, because Phoenix is going to win. Finally, the Clippers have run out of magic because, they had to come back in every series. And now, Kawhi he's hurt. And I knew he tore his knee, by the way. He did tear it. They're not saying it, but he tore it. And I knew it right away. But they have a guy, and you remember him, Rob, because you like college. Remember the guy from Arizona, Aton, the big center from the Wildcats college?
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah, that's right. And you know what? I wanted him in Boston. I thought we were going to get him that year because we had a lot of picks and we didn't get him. But he ended up in Phoenix. And for 2 years, it looked like he was going to be a bust, but that wasn't the reason. The reason was he was always great. But these kids are coming out too soon, Rob. They're coming out too soon, and they're not ready. So basically, their first 2 years in the league is like the last 2 years of college. Now he's ready. He's getting like 20 and 15 every night. He's a real center. He could, I'm telling you, Phoenix is great. They could beat the Bucks. I don't think they will because the Bucks are the best overall team, but it's going to be close. And I think Phoenix has the home field. So if they can take it to 7, they'll win it. Yes. Because I don't think the Bucks have a better record than Phoenix does. I have to check that, though. But, no, that's what's going on here. See, the Nets should have been in it. And they, you know what? They should have been the 1 seed. Because how much of a choke is Philadelphia? They go down and lose to Atlanta. They're up by 26 points in Game 5 in the second half and blow the game. And then they blow Game 7 at home. I've never seen that in my life. Some Philly fan goes, the reason you never seen it in your life? Because it never happened before. I go, I believe it. That is pathetic. And you know what? A friend of mine, Chance, who always calls, he's like, why did they fire Doc in LA Clippers? I go, you know what, Chance, this is why. Because he choked it out again. Because even in Boston, and I like him, and he's pretty smart, but I don't know how good a coach he is. Even in Boston, they said that Thibodeau was the coach. He was a defensive coordinator, and now he's the coach of the Knicks. You see, people don't think. I mean, believe me, Phoenix is really good, and they're going to be hard to beat, Rob. They are. Trust me.
Well, Thibodeau, got the Knicks back to the playoffs.
That's right. Oh, you know what? A friend of mine used to play down the field, work with him for a bit, and he told me, he's like, all he does is sit, even in the off season, just sits there and watches films all day to try to figure out how to play defense for the team, even in the off season. That's how intense this guy is. He's like Dick Vermeil. You don't do something, we'll punch your face in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you almost punched our face in virtually when he came on the show.
At the very least, I thought he was going to walk off. He's tough, but I loved him because you know what? That's what's missing. We don't have those kind of coaches no more. We don't. And that's a problem, Coach K's like that. You think he's all night. He's tough, brother.
Tough, yeah. Yes,
sir. He was in the Army. He was in the Army. He's tough. And, what do you think about him quitting?
I haven't thought about it much, actually.
Right.
Now that you mention it. I think, there would seem to be some writing on the wall that this was coming. He advocated, I believe, to not have a season with COVID. I don't believe he's been very supportive of how the transfer portal has evolved. and I don't believe he was ever a big fan of the one and done scenario that
Not.
he
He's not.
he adopted. I mean, Duke became, like Kentucky, a one and done program. But as you saw, I don't believe they were too successful during the one and done eras. They bring in these stars.
Well,
I can't. When did Duke win their last title? I mean, it wasn't that long ago. One, but
it was a while ago. Actually, it's getting up there now, isn't it? I'll tell you what, though.
I just think I think he sees that way the landscape is changing, and he's not a spring chicken. He's up there. He's 70 years old, I think. And
yeah,
I think saw this, and it was like, okay, it's time to take on the other aspects and priorities of my life and let the game go on without me. That's just my take. I don't know if that's actually the case, if it was a health issue or some other reason, but that's
it's not a health issue because my brother talked with him. By the way, Rob, we are getting him on. He just can't do it right now because he told my brother that. So we're going to get him on. But and we'll ask him ourselves how he feels and why he wants to quit right now. But you know what? That's a hard act to follow. Duke's going to struggle. I mean, it's true what my brother said. He handpicked the new coach because that guy was the recruiter and all. But to actually do it, and be the coach, that's not the same thing. That's like being a running back that's a backup as compared to a running back that's a starter. It's a big jump. It's not that easy. People think it is, but it's not. There's a reason you're a backup. So, I mean, but that's what's missing, I think. It's those kind of coaches. And now you can't talk to kids no more because you hurt the feelings. You hurt my feelings. Good. Your feelings need to be hurt. Sometimes you're an idiot. You ever think about that? Maybe do something wrong. Maybe you need to be yelled at. But I mean, but I think that's why Doc's not there. And by the way, when the Clippers go, we're gonna have Jerry West on too. I want you to know that. He's coming. So
talk about a legend. He's just he's like a leprechaun. Wherever he goes, the pot of gold just springs up.
Well, him being a great player has something to do with that.
Exactly. Whether he's a player, a manager, whatever, put him in any position. Jerry West wins.
Well, he did right. He was a rare one because he was a great player and he's a great evaluator. And he don't want to be head coach. He tried. That didn't work. But he knows his players and he knows who to get. He's very smart, very intelligent.
So we'll definitely pick his brain, Bob, find out who the upcoming stars are because that's right. He knows very well who's going to be shining the spotlight soon enough.